Hey guys, what's going on? It's Blake Ruffino from LSU Sports, and this AYS short is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to bet on all your sporting action. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, odds, and updates. It's literally the best way for you to place all your bets, and the best thing is it's free to sign up. Head on over to their website. Again, that's betonline.ag. Use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus for your first deposit. Again, that's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag.
This kid might be a 3-star on 247 Rivals or whatever, but he's going and playing in the league. Why isn't he and having good success? Why isn't he on our roster? See, when you hear things like that, and Brian Kelly talking about that today, guys, I'm going to be analytical. If it's 4th and 3 from my own 40 and it tells me to go for it and we're having good success on offense, we're going to go for it. It's interesting to hear him talk about how they're going to be analytical, not only on the field, but off the field. Could you imagine over the 100, let's just say 111 players or 110 players over the last 10 years, guys, it's 10 recruits a recruiting cycle, 10 players in this state in a recruiting cycle. Now, look, you're not going to get all of them. Some of them will leave. Some of them you will miss on. Some of them may not ever want to be here. But even if you got 80% of the 10 over those 10 years, in that 10-year span, that's 8 more players from this state that's playing in the NFL that could be on your roster. 8. What's also interesting is this. I wonder if Brian Kelly saw those analytics and knew that these kids could play at LSU and these kids could play in the NFL. And that's why you saw such a concerted effort for bringing in guys like Greg Fouché or Joe Fouché, Greg Brooks, Kyron Lacey, Jarek Bernard-Converse. Interesting, right? So when Brian Kelly legitimately talks about locking down the state, it's not just BS. It's not just hot air. It's not just, we're going to put a fence up around the state of Louisiana. No, they're looking into it and why other kids that are going elsewhere are going into the league. How much talent that LSU does have on defense. Now, I will tell you, there is a concern at corner. That concern being at corner and getting the vibe around the building and talking to guys, they brought in a lot of talent. Can they find a way to maybe add some more depth at that position? Do you move Jay Ward from safety down to corner? But even though, and that's going to play itself out in spring and in fall, I'm not necessarily worried about that position at the current moment. Maybe not as much as they are, because you got a guy like Jarek Bernard-Converse that started 46 games. I think you can find a very good number 2. I think they look at that front 7 and say that it could be lethal. One of those guys is going to be in here in just a minute. Mason Smith, Jaquelin Roy. By the way, Jaquelin Roy was Pro Football Focus's #1 interior defensive lineman all of last season. Guys, Jordan Davis from the University of Georgia was getting Heisman talk last year. But Jaquelin Roy was grading out better than he was. They want to see more from this defensive line, but they know without a shadow of a doubt. Now, you're going to ask, well, Blake, what are they going to run defensively? Matt House came out and said he doesn't know. Wrong. Go watch what Kansas City did. Go watch what Kansas City's done over the last 2 years over Steve Spagnuolo, and I think that you're going to get a pretty damn good idea. Now, will they innovate some other things because of pieces that they have? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that schematics, Jake Peets especially, hurt the offensive line. Because let me tell you this. If you've never played offensive line before in your life, like I have, when you start moving 300-pound men and you have a guy like Ty Davis-Price rushing for over 1,000 yards in the amount of games that he did it in, means that your offensive line has talent. You can't convince me that a team in the SEC that's rushing for over 150 yards per game since Kentucky, that you don't have talent there. They have talent and they can move people around. The question is can you do things to help this offensive line schematically? You get better from not only a depth perspective, but you get better from a just quite honestly an athletic type of situation. you're going to have more athleticism at tackles. You're going to have a really good athletic guard in Tremont Shorts. Anthony Bradford was a problem last year for teams like Kentucky and teams like Florida. Can he get some weight down? Can he get a little bit more can his conditioning get a little bit better? And I think that he could be an NFL left guard. Or he could be a prototypical right guard. He has the talent. But Mike Denbrock alluded to this today, and it's something that we're going to have to talk about all season. Something that we talked about on this show religiously. I know that there's a lot of fandom around Miles Brennan. I don't if it was officially Miles Brennan's position and it was his position to lose, I do believe that not only Brian Kelly but Mike Denbrock would have said so. I also believe in something that we've been talking about over the last 5 weeks, and 5, 6, 7 weeks. Let's see what they do here. Let's see what they do during, meaning these three guys in Nussmeier, Miles, and Walker. What can they do during spring? But the simple fact that they don't know, and it's going to be an open competition, should tell you everything of what this new staff and all these new eyeballs who doesn't have I don't want to say affinity for Miles Brennan or Garrett Nussmeier, or maybe Walker Howard does a little bit because Brian Kelly was trying to recruit him so hard to come to Notre Dame. But a new, fresh set of eyeballs and a guy that's won the amount of games that Brian Kelly has looking in on this team, he doesn't know who his quarterback is going to be. You're going to make your comments. You're going to put your comments in here. I mean this with all love and all due respect. I don't care if you don't, as the old saying goes, facts don't care about your feelings. It doesn't matter what happens against Florida State. I'm telling you right now, they don't know. They have no clue. Why should they? I think that is the biggest one of, if not the biggest position that's the most wide open. Who can come in there and dominate? And whoever can come in and dominate that quarterback position, I have a tingling feeling, unless they do something else, that person that wins the spring and the fall is going to start. I'm just not. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about midweek games. I have my opinion that every game matters. If you go out there and play, every game matters. I'm not going to freak out over them losing one midweek game. I think they'll come back and they'll have a great weekend. They'll continue to build and be really good. But last night, Will Wade and this LSU basketball team was up 10, and they blew a lead in the second half. Xavier Pinson did have 26 points, but, guys, he shot 6 of 20 from the field and really struggled in the second half. With that alone, Darius Day's shooting 2 for 10 from the outside. Will Wade is now 8-16 in his tenure at LSU against the AP Top 25. And I understand that he's done a lot of good things. Not saying he's not, but there's going to have to be some adjustments from Will Wade. The in-game adjustments from Will Wade has, over the last 2 seasons, has been lackluster. Every single week we see something. South Carolina, Kentucky, the 6 games that they lost when Xavier Pinson was out. We come on here and all that everybody wants to tell me is when the LSU lost those 6 out of 7 games was the simple fact that Xavier Pinson's not on the floor. The problem with that for me is he's back and they're still losing. But yet every time we go to critique Will Wade and this basketball team, it's, hey, he's all good. This team has a lot of talent. They're going to continue to get talent. But Will's going to have to make some adjustments along his coaching staff. They're going to have to get some type of offensive philosophy, someone that can bring in an offensive game plan. And it would seem that they have a defensive mentality and a defensive set already put in place. But Will's just not a good offensive mind. He's not an X's and O's guy. At least it would appear that way. Being up by 10, being up by 10 at the half against Kentucky, being up by 15, then losing the lead, then being back up by 11 in South Carolina and you're losing shows that you can go up against a number 6 team in the country and you can go up against a team like South Carolina and you're kind of playing to your talent. Now, Kentucky had their entire backcourt out And I understand that. But, man, like at some point, we have to come to the realization that this isn't